Hello and welcome to House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris. I'm Dena Mathis.
And I'm Chris Breitenbach. Typically on our Real Estate House and Home Chat, we highlight a small business and we spend the first portion of our show chatting with that small business and highlighting what makes them feel special. Well, today our small business highlight goes out to us.
Yay! So in fact, today our small business shout out goes to Chris Breitenbach and Dena Mathis, your local realtors helping you buy, sell, and we are here in the greater Cincinnati area, happy and ready to serve you, right?
Yeah. So we thought today we would just talk about real estate. I know we've already focused a little bit on the sky is not falling,
right?
Especially in Cincinnati, Ohio.
We had that conversation with Dave Scully, with
maybe a couple
of episodes ago, about the rates, about what's happening in the market. But we wanted to just bring you our perspective.
Yeah, and kind of how we're handling it, what we're seeing and how we're handling it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, everybody's asking that question. Sure, the first thing that they ask you when they see you is, what's going on in the real estate market?
I'm so sad.
You must be so
Are you
crazy.
okay?
I
had somebody ask me if I was okay. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's, real estate is real estate. There are always people buying and selling, and there's always a need to buy and sell.
Yeah, and if you've been in the business long enough, you experience just, buyers markets, sellers markets. There's all kinds of ebbs and flows, and this is just another part of the market.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you have been friends with us or known us for a long time, we're never happy with the market because it's always, a balanced market is a 6-month inventory, and a 6-month inventory kind of the market doesn't lean either for a buyer or a seller, right? And so when the market has less than 6 months and we're at days, still just at days, that's going to lean towards a seller's market. And obviously over 6 months inventory is going to lean towards a buyer's market.
Yeah, and we've been through both.
Yeah, but it's never at that 6 month mark.
It's never at that 6 month mark.
And so we are always adjusting to what is going on.
Exactly.
So that
said, what's going on in your world of real estate?
You know what?
What are you seeing?
Actually see a lot of exciting things going on. I have felt so bad. A lot of my, I'll call them potential clients, right? I've got all these people in the hopper and they've been taking a back seat. For a couple years, because even if we've seen a couple houses, I'll use one client as an example. We have seen some houses and the houses are all, or have been, we need to get there. There's probably 30 people looking at it.
Are these the clients that want the land?
That want the land,
okay.
Right? They want a wooded, they want a ranch with a finished basement, hopefully with a walkout. Over about an acre, 2 acres, whatever, on a private street. And those homes, it's been total bidding war, and they just don't need to, and they don't need to mess with it. Yeah. They don't have to move. They don't need to mess with it. So anyway, this morning I sent them a property that is not overpriced. It's on an acre wooded lot. It's been on the market for 8 days and it just took a $25,000 price reduction. So I'm all excited because maybe it'll give these buyers the opportunity to move forward like they eventually want to do.
Right.
On the terms that are workable for them.
Right. And that's interesting. That being said, I showed a property probably a little over a month ago that had just hit the market. We saw it, in those first days. My clients weren't ready to make an offer at that time, but it sat on the market and then just last week took a $75,000 price reduction.
Wow.
I mean, it's a pretty higher end price point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm seeing the exact same thing.
So I think that, testing the market, that continual, house sold for 300, so I'm going to list for 350, so I'm going to list for 4.
Right.
I think we're going to see less and less of that.
I think we're at that spot right now. Exactly. It's still can be a very fast market, and it's really very area specific.
Exactly.
It's price point specific. So, we always say that it's very local and personal to, to your specific needs and area.
Exactly. Exactly. Some areas and price points are still compelling. I mean, there's still people who have to buy. And there's a recent listing in Mason that is under contract at this point, was on the market for probably 3 to 4 days versus 24 hours. I think, I don't know any specifics about it, but I think the person buying it is from out of town. And that agent's perspective was, I still have clients from out of town who are moving. This was the only house within a $50,000 price range
that was available. That was on the market. So
and
it's inventory, and we don't have it. So
there's still buyers who
there's still
want to
plenty
buy.
of buyers, and you've had quite a few of those out of town buyers. That's kind of been like the bulk of your summer. I feel
like this spring probably I've had more out of town buyers than I have people moving in town.
And I've got really across the gamut, really everything from your first time home buyer to buyers that have been with me for years and years and years and have bought and sold over time. They're retirees, their lifestyle changes. So it's interesting because all across the board, I'm not necessarily seeing the same things. Again, dependent on area, dependent on price point. So different
client expectations.
Client expectations for sure.
I think has a lot to do with it.
And they all call for different strategies.
And yet, crazy one that I'll bring up because I find this one fascinating.
Tell me what's fascinating and crazy.
So I sold a condo in Mason. I was the listing agent on a condo in Mason. We closed a couple months ago, and we listed, I think, for like 200 or 205, I don't even remember, sold for 207. So a house recently in that neighborhood listed for 199, like right under 200. It's been on the market for 19 days and it is now under 175.
What?
So I am finding, so as I share all this, I've got that little bit of a glitch, and I do think that there are some people who, had those people listed at 200, maybe they would have sold, right? Maybe they missed, maybe under 200, people are like, well, what's wrong with that? Or maybe, I don't know.
That's
I don't
interesting.
understand that one at all.
You'd have to look at it. I guess
it looks
specifically.
I looked at it looks fine.
I don't know.
So anyway, just, there are those little odd idiosyncrasies going on too.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's just a matter of keeping a watchful eye on the market as we do. We sell a lot in Mason, but we also sell all over the city, and different things are happening in different places.
Absolutely. And part of it is we might give you different advice. There might be tools, I'll call them tools. That we might use now, or if marketing a listing, I don't really change my marketing, but maybe I will do something a little different, or our pricing strategy.
I think a little bit of the marketing changes. Like I think we got into this place where we weren't necessarily, or people weren't necessarily doing the same things to prepare their home for the market or to stage their homes appropriately. We kind of got away from a little bit of that. But I will have to say that on my most recent listing appointment, I'm incorporating those things back into those conversations about the staging and the, decluttering and depersonalizing. I think it's important, again, because, it may sell in that first day, but it may take 7 or 10 days. And then the longer it's on the market, again, we come up with those. Again, people start to question why is it still on the market and what's happening, and the expectations are that it's going to sell so quickly, and it hasn't. So yeah, I'm glad you touched on marketing, because I feel like we've gotten away from certain things that we probably are a good idea to get back
and
to.
I do think you're right in terms of, that seller prep might need to be a little more thorough.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I do think.
Yeah.
I do think that is. Is a good.
How many houses did you go to that just weren't clean?
Oh my goodness! Unbelievable and just unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, I would walk into homes and say, there's still a house on the market. I can't believe
that you wouldn't do the basics, right?
Just the basics.
So what's your best tip in this market, in this real estate market?
For the actual market itself, hire Dena or not.
I like that tip, yes.
And the reason I say that is the market is changing daily. And we are here to help you, and we've got the expertise, we've got the experience to help you with your individual situation, right? I've continued to have my clients do inspections. There are a lot of people who have waived inspections for the past year or so. That's a strategy we're going to talk about. Appraisal gaps. We've had our buyers covering an appraisal gap just in case the house doesn't appraise. We might not recommend that at this point.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's very specific to your situation.
Exactly.
So yeah, we've had to pull all these, tricks out of our bag. I'll call them tricks, but really they're tools.
Right.
They're tools that we've had to use, and in order to be competitive. In order to, win the house, because that's where we've been. And I'm not saying that that's not where we still are.
Right.
Because we very much still are in, that market. But we may be employing other things at this point.
As an example, because you're utilizing something you haven't used in a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, what I would stress is that, real estate is very geographically specific to, where we are. So you listen to all this national news, and people get panicked about what they hear on television and about the rates and everything else. But you really want to keep it local and keep it specific to your needs. So you bringing up a contract that I just wrote yesterday, where we put an addendum or a strategy in there where we were writing a contingency on the sale. Now this isn't something we've done in a long time. Contingency on the sale of the buyer's home. So the buyer's making an offer, but their home is not yet under contract. So we're making a contingency on the sale of their home. And actually we used an addendum called a contingency without notice, where we're actually allowing for the seller to continue to market their property while we're trying to get our property sold. And, you might be thinking, why on earth would you use such, a strategy? But again, it's very specific to this situation. It happens to be, downtown condo high rise. The days on market are higher. Things aren't selling as aggressively as maybe your 4-bedroom, 2-story in Mason. So it does give us an opportunity to think outside the box, think a little bit differently, think creatively. And really, that's what we're here to do. And that's what your local realtors, are here to do, is to look at that very specific market and put together the best strategy that satisfies both sides.
And your clients, it sounds like their home that they're going to be selling is going to be a compelling home.
Yes, it will be, because it is that typical 4-bedroom, 2-story in the suburbs.
That's in perfect condition.
Yeah, exactly. So, it takes some luck, we'll cross our fingers, but it also takes creativity and negotiation, and really thinking outside the box in terms of how to create a win-win for both sides.
Right. And Dena, I know you do this quite a bit, is conversing with that other agent. Right.
Really important.
But, and more so than a text, more so than an email, but picking up the phone and saying, look, we could create a win-win here.
Right.
Let's figure out what's gonna work best for both parties, because ultimately when there's a win-win-win,
everybody wins.
Everybody's a winner.
Wins.
We all know I hate that, but everybody's a winner. But that's what we're shooting for, right? If there's a win-win-win, then everybody comes out in a good place.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You've got happy buyers, you've got happy sellers. So it is critical that agents communicate. This is what we are after. This is what they need. There's a little bit of risk on both sides. There's a lot of reward on both sides, and hopefully it all comes together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's what I'm kind of experiencing in this market, and I find it a little bit exciting, more so than like this fire drill to, the house as it lists at, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're there at 8:05, and the next person's there at 8:15.
Yeah.
You have 10 minutes to go through.
You might be able to breathe to actually get into a house, which is good for everybody.
For a minute.
And from a seller's perspective and a listing perspective, we're actually getting those questions of, what do you do? So, potential sellers that I'm talking with are already thinking about hey, I might not fly out the door in 24 hours. There might not be people lined up.
Right.
Or even can you sell me before I go on the market? Isn't necessarily the questions we're getting. It's, what are you going to do for me?
Right, exactly.
Which we're both totally prepared based on your situation in your home, exactly what we're going to advise for that. Utilizing all tools.
Right, exactly. So what about somebody who's on the fence? Maybe they are thinking, they're on the 1-year plan, the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, and they come to you like, what should I be doing right now?
And I will tell you, I am advising my people who have just recently purchased homes, because I've had the gamut this spring, and I've had a lot more buyers this spring than I have sellers. I have told them that in their plans and in their budget from day one, and I'm going to share this with everybody, is create a plan for your home, or create a budget, like within your budget, do an investment on your home, and whether that be $500 a year, whether it be $100,000 a year, it doesn't matter, but update your home continuously so that you are always ready for life as it happens. Should you need to sell, should you decide, you're not like me, who's all of a sudden saying, oh my gosh,
I got to update my master bath.
I've got to replace that carpet that's 30 years old, right? We have bedrooms that have carpet that's
so do as I say, not as I do.
Do as I say, not as I do.
That's
but
funny.
In hindsight, right? We're thinking of the hot water heaters on my mind. We replaced our hot water heater right after we moved in. So it's 20 years old. I'm like, well, proactively, I should replace my water heater now and not wait for an emergency.
Right.
And so that's what I'm sharing with all of you as my biggest tip is continually make that investment in your home, as small as it can be to as large as you want it to be.
That's a great point, because to the point of in the clients I was just telling you about, where I wrote the contract yesterday, listing their home, I mean, they were able to just put it on the market like boom, as is, because their house was ready to go, and they've done those things. But how many times do you walk into a listing appointment where you're like, we need 3 months to get this house up to speed, in terms of
6 months ago, you may have been
ready.
able to do that.
Yeah.
Today, that's changed.
Yeah,
that's changing.
Yeah. So that's a really great strategy, is to continue to invest in your home, to keep it up to date, and to keep it well maintained.
And if you can't even afford $500, at least clean.
At least clean your house.
Deep clean each room.
Clean those baseboards too.
Clean those baseboards.
Clean the fans.
Air duct
the
returns.
fans and the air duct returns.
Yeah,
those
are a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's those little things that people notice.
I think so too.
Yeah. What do you have?
So, I really think it's all about the local, staying local. That's my biggest tip, is like not just tuning out what's going on nationally, really looking to your experts, you and I, being your expert realtors, in an area, looking specifically, even
Price
within
range,
within a
area.
neighborhood, you know, things are selling differently than they may be, you know, in a neighborhood three miles over. So really getting very specific in your neighborhood, and then looking at strategies based on your needs. I mean,
Right.
are you able to sell without buying? If not, there are some options. And then how, you know, we can be creative with those options.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's
I like
my
it.
tip, is call an expert.
Yes. Us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all that I've got today.
Yeah, me too. Again, we just wanted to give you a little snapshot, actually come to you as the real estate agents that we are. Let's face it, it is our business and we are a small business. So I hate to say shout out to us.
Shout out to us.
Shout out to us.
Hey, why not?
This is what we do, right? We don't just do
Exactly.
podcasts. We are here to help you buy and sell real estate. And we would love to chat with you, whether you're thinking of moving in the next day or two, or you're on a 20-year plan.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to be on that plan to move next week.
No.
But it really does take sitting down with an expert and putting that plan in place.
Exactly.
So we're here to help. Thanks again for joining us today. This has been House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.